So I read an interesting article today which gave the argument that religions aren't inherently made to be something that is, oh my god, it is deplorable or self-righteous or any of the kind of vices that a lot of these religions within our world have a basis of compassion, and that's what you see within the text of these religions. So Christianity, Judaism, um, Muslim, Buddhist, Taoist, all these major religions. This article it was trying to say has a basis in compassion, and then the deplorable acts that do come out of religions are not because of the religious vision, let's say, but rather the greed and the let's say sins of the human being, the contradictions that are human beings. And I found it interesting because I'm reading the Bible right now, and there are so many instances in the Bible where that holds up true, where compassion is the basis for the religion. It's the love between in the Jewish people and their God, the love we have for our neighbors, the love for with each other. And then, of course, we see contradictions to this within the Old Testament, at least what I'm reading right now in Numbers, specifically Numbers 31, whenever the Israeli people are waging war against other tribes while they're going towards Israel, and pretty much decimating the tribes, taking their women for them, pitting them as slaves, counting the livestock of everything that they've plundered, pretty much. And it doesn't seem very compassionate towards, to me, more, or this compassion they preach of is more directed towards those who are Jewish, who are part of this religion. But it got me thinking too, how if I think the Bible is interesting because you can read it in multiple different ways. So predominantly the Old Testament reads as if it's historical fiction. Not historical fiction, but historical. It's a lot of documentation, a lot of documenting what the Israelites are going through, documenting their journey throughout the land. So it reads as if historical. So you can read it in a historical light, but you can also read it as a story. And if we look at it through a historical, let's just say a story perspective, literary perspective, let's say, then we could see that it might be a playing on the contradictions of human beings, because a lot of this is the people and Moses and what he's doing and what he's putting forth and what he's saying. So he's saying, follow these commandments, follow these, thou shalt not kill your neighbor. I don't know if that's a commandment, sorry. But follow these commandments, but then, and is almost hypocritical and pushes these commandments away to do these horrendous acts. Well, it kind of sheds light or kind of pinpoints and focuses on how us as humans are hypocritical creatures. We do have these beliefs. We do say we think these ways or are acting these ways, but then we act differently, not necessarily because we don't want to uphold our beliefs or uphold our values, but because they are often conflicting against our body and what our emotional states are. We feel nervous, anxious. Sometimes we don't even realize what we're doing or what we're saying. We can say, oh, I don't want to be, let's just, no specific value. Let's just say, I don't want to be a violent person. But then, and we can easily see one person, and that person raising their voices, not necessarily hitting someone, but being a little bit more aggressive to someone else. And that's not very peaceful like. But in the moment, whenever they have an emotional reaction to something, the first instinct is to react to that emotional stimuli instead of actually a stepping back and observing it. Another thing is also thinking we know what we're doing in any circumstances. For example, I'm watching over two dogs right now, and I am trying to train them to be a little bit more calm, to listen to what I have to say, to pay attention to me more. And I didn't realize that I was acting as if I already knew this until someone actually called me out and said, hey, that's not really how you teach a dog how to behave. And once they kind of criticized me, but I would say a constructive, gave me constructive criticism on how I was teaching, I thought about it and thought, oh wow, I went into this thinking I already knew how to train dogs just because I had an idea of, okay, I'm going to do it this way, hey, because it should work this way, I'm going to do it. But I didn't even think through that process, I just did it. And wasn't reflecting on it and thinking, am I even qualified to train a dog? That's a good question to ask yourself. And that's one pitfall that we humans have, is that a lot of the times we don't even know that we're doing something wrong. And that's why we have to self-reflect and be self-aware and ask ourselves questions on, if am I even doing the right thing? And that's where the contradictions that are brought up within the New Testament with Moses and these atrocities, and Judaism and Christianity having its core beliefs of compassion. Why these contrasts happen, at least in my mind, what I'm thinking, why these happen, why there's this hypocritical nature to it, is because that's humans. That's part of our human nature, is to kind of stumble and realize, oh wait, I need to be more self-aware. Oh wait, I need to question myself more. Oh wait, I've been acting like I know of things, know these things, even though I'm not really an expert at it. And a lot of people I see, and me included, go through life not changing and not putting forward these questions, and not questioning themselves and reflecting on themselves, and just walk through the world as if they already know what they're talking about. And I'm not saying I'm excluded from this, because I'm not. I just told you instance where I'm not. But it seems like this is more the norm than it is the exception. So us as human beings, whenever I think there's two things we should take out of this. One, whenever there is an idea and someone's working on the idea and there's a refinement of that idea like it is in most of the major religions, I don't necessarily think we should blow it off just because there are humans in these religious structures that don't abide by the core tenets of compassion. And that might be the majority of them. It doesn't make the ideas or the that idea of compassion or the ideas within religion any less, or things that we should look down upon just because of this idea that humans are contradictory creatures. We have to take that into account whenever we are shifting ideals to reality. And I think the second thing we also have to think about, oh, they're going at it again. The second thing we have to think about is an introspection of ourselves. How can we question ourselves to be able to better understand ourselves and what we're doing and why we're doing these and what things do we think we know that we don't really know? And it's that introspection part that we always have to think about, and I always have to think about. So, thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.